Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome to our new venue here at the Creative Hive. And so with all things new, we are running into a few little, hopefully hidden technical difficulties. So right now we don't have this clicker working, so we're going to be giving a little bit of a thumbs up and all that stuff as we work through this. Yeah, we do like to talk about how the market is doing or how it's done in the past. We also like to give you a little bit of insight in regards to what is coming. And so that's what we're going to get into today. First off, want to give a big thumbs up to the city's master manipulators, Edmonton City Council, who has been talking about this horrific over 7% tax increase, but they gave us all a big favor. It only came in at 6.6%. Don't we all feel amazed? So actually, there has been quite a bit of comments from the general public about feeling pretty good that they did such a big favor for us by only coming in at 6.6. That seems to be something that they do all the time. Anyways, we're going to get into the November stats. You can flip forward. So these stats come out, as I always like to tell everybody, and for those of you that are new, you can go and get this information at the Real Estate Association of Edmonton website. It comes out on the first couple of days of the following month. So the November stats are probably going to come out on Monday, December 4th. So if you want to get the latest stats. But in the meantime, the stats that we have to work with are the October stats. And so if we can just flip to the next page. What we ultimately have seen is that we're doing better than we did this time last year, but we are definitely starting to get into a bit of a cooling trend as we get towards Christmas. So you can see here that, again, as I said, total sales increased from last year, but they have started to settle down from September last month. Overall inventory is down. That actually is helping to prop the market up a little bit. We're going to see the home price index here in a second. And you're going to see the roller coaster ride we've been on over the last 18 months to 2 years. Residential prices are, haven't moved too much, and same thing with average days on market. So Melanie Bowles is the RAID chair. Her comments based on last month is we've seen other markets with low supply of inventory to do the home prices. There are buyers who can't wait until spring when more properties will become available. They'll be willing to spend a little bit more on the right place. But until we see interest rates come down for many people, those detached homes are still going to be out of reach. Being flipped to, and then last year's inventory was 7,100. If you recall the previous slide, we're down in the low 6,200 area. If you can flip to the next slide. Home price index. Again, I love looking at the home price index. This is for pretty much all types of properties in Edmonton and also in the greater Edmonton area. This is going from October to October. You can see that Edmonton is averaging for a home price index. That's just a benchmark performance over time, 370, and greater Edmonton is 377,000. And here's this roller coaster ride. But to give you a little bit more perspective, we'll look at the last 2 years. We're basically going back to 2 years. So this is basically when interest rates were starting to go up. Everybody was trying to buy properties before interest rates really took hold. This is when interest rates, this is last fall, and this is basically when interest rates were really starting to climb and nobody knew exactly how far up they were going to go. Edmonton enjoyed a little bit of a slow, steady growth, and then now we're getting into the fall slowdown. Inflation, October inflation eased to 3.1. Again, the goal is 2%. September was 3.8. So the credit gas prices being down to almost 8% year over year is the biggest reason why inflation is starting to cool. We still have some other concerning areas. Groceries are up 5.4 year over year. Mortgages are also up. Alberta inflation is almost at the target of 2%. How about those electricity bills? My goodness, up 45%. And the next Bank of Canada interest rate increase is December 6th, so mark that on the calendar. The jobless rate, Canada's jobless rate has gone up 0.2%. This is actually something the Bank of Canada wants to see because of the fact that it's going to slow the economy down. Employment is at 5.5%, so as I said, it went up 0.2%. Alberta employment is at 5.8%. Next slide, please. Job growth, this was an interesting one. Almost 84,000 more people are working in Alberta in the first 10 months of 2023. The most interesting information from this is nearly all of them are full-time positions. So a lot of times this bit of information can be a little bit deceiving because they can be part-time jobs. But in this case, nearly all of them are full-time jobs. The private sector accounted for 85%, the public sector for 13%, and self-employment was at 2%. So the next couple of slides is to show the interesting times that we're in regards to some people talking about, are we going to slip into a recession, or are we at the very beginning stages of growth? This one here suggests that things are potentially improving as energy prices drive up Canada's international trade exports in September. Aircraft exports are also up. Agricultural exports are also going up. So there's some good signs here to show the economy is doing strong and that we're getting ready for a strong 2024. But if we look at the next slide, we live next door, as we all know, to an elephant. And when the elephant catches a cold, we're in big trouble. So there is concerns over the US growth starting to fade. And if that starts to happen in the United States, that also could potentially hurt Canada, as 75% of our exports are to the United States. So we obviously rely a lot on how the United States is doing. We like to talk about Calgary a lot. For those of you that still don't know, Calgary has had a tremendously strong year. They are definitely bucking the trend, and it continues to be strong. I was just talking to a real estate agent a couple of days ago, and he's flabbergasted that he has not seen, at least in his world, Calgary starting to slip into its fall and Christmas slowdown. Calgary continues to be going really strong. It saw almost 2,200 home sales in October, 17% increase year over year. Apartment condos are, as people are looking for more affordable housing options, that's been a big reason why things have started to tick up. So things continue to go strong in Calgary. Here's a little bit of an indication on what things happen. So here's the benchmark price change. You can see where COVID hit, and we saw a big increase in prices. And then as interest rates hit, the market slid down, and now prices have gone back up again in Calgary. And also a big reason why that's happened, just hang on a sec, we'll go back to that other slide, is the inventory. Now, inventory has ticked up a little bit in Calgary, but for the most part, one of the reasons why housing prices has gone up is because of low inventory. And one of the things that they continue to talk about, the difference between Calgary and Edmonton, is Edmonton has a lot more purpose-built rentals. There's less rentals in Calgary. So a lot of people that are coming to the city have to go to simply looking at purchasing properties. So that's elevated the increase in housing prices. Edmonton is also, we've talked as well about Edmonton follows Calgary, and eventually people will start moving to the other big city in Alberta. This is a great stat. In 2022, we saw nearly basically over 33,000 international migrants come to Edmonton. That's 3 times the average that Edmonton has seen over the course of the past 20 years. From 02 to 21, we saw just a little shy of 11,000 international migrants come to Edmonton, and now we're at 3 times that amount. So some great news for more people coming to Edmonton, which is obviously going to be, these people need to find a place to live. You can flip to the next one there. So just continuing on this line, the average amount of population growth in Edmonton is averaged 2.2%. In 2022, it jumped to 3.1%, and the rate is forecast to be higher in 2023 and stay strong in 2024. So between housing and jobs, it makes a lot of sense for people to move here from other parts of Canada. We've been talking about this at a lot of masterminds over the course of the year, and it continues to show that we have people coming to Edmonton. Next slide. Thank you. Average rental prices in Canada. This is another reason people are coming here, is that we're leading in rental growth, but we are still one of the least expensive areas to live when it comes to rentals. Nova Scotia being the other one. Calgary maintained its annual growth lead as rental prices reached an average of just a little over $2,000 a month. Month over month average rental prices in Toronto did not change. It still has the second highest asking rate, obviously right behind Vancouver, which is just basically at $3,300 for a rental. You can flip to the next one. So this is from rentals.ca. You can see here, this is for a one bedroom. Vancouver leads the market. Right now, one bedroom is just shy of $2,900. A two bedroom is about $3,800. Calgary is sitting at 23rd on the list, and Edmonton is down here at number 30. I think, we wouldn't necessarily count Winnipeg as a major city. Edmonton is the lowest ranked major city when it comes to average rental rates. Just a little shy of $1,300 for a one bedroom and a little shy of $1,600 for a two bedroom. This is coming back to Calgary. Now, also on this stage over the year, we've been talking about the fact that, especially because of COVID, the downtown offices have not filled up again. It's a problem in every major city around the world, especially in North America. Right now, Calgary and Edmonton are number one and number two for office vacancies. And Calgary has really focused hard on trying to turn these into apartments and hotel rooms. Right now, they've got 3 new projects that have been confirmed. It's removing 675,000 square feet of vacant office space and introducing 132 new homes. I put in here, this is actually international news. The Washington Post has published about Calgary being the model city for transforming downtowns, which was very significant news, the fact that this is gaining international attention about what's happening in Calgary. And if you go to the next slide here, this is one of the buildings that's getting converted, the Petrofina building. We can switch to the next one. Edmonton is not as far along as Calgary is. They're still trying to figure out what they ultimately want to do, but there is some good news in regards to some of these office buildings getting filled. There's 2 educational academies, one classical academy and the other one Northwest College, that are taking nearly 125,000 square feet out of the inventory. And so that's certainly some good news. Obviously, for anybody that's been downtown, or any downtown, it's important to have a vibrant downtown to show the health of the city. So on November 21st, the federal government put out the fall economic statements. There's 5 things that this article suggested that we should pay attention to. I bring this up because of the fact that these are things that you're probably going to hear over the course of 2024. And so first and foremost, housing. The federal government is announcing $15 billion in new loan funding to build more than 30,000 new rental units across Canada. The key there is that it's not going to kick in until 2025. The second thing is no plan to balance the books. They are actually continuing to talk about a major deficit spending over the next 5 years. On to the next one is mortgage renewals. So this was interesting in the fact that there's not really any teeth to this, but they're basically just asking that the mortgage industry start to make sure that they're treating their clients as in the best possible light, providing them good service and stuff like that. Affordability. We've all talked about affordability for houses, but there's other things in regards to trying to make sure that private businesses are not hurting people from a standpoint of all these extra fees. This was an interesting one here in regards to making sure that adults don't have to pay extra to have their child under 14 sit next to them. You think that would be a no-brainer, but you actually have to pay extra for that. Some other things as well as they're eliminating the GST and a few things. So that's something to watch out for. And then the last thing as well is just obviously there's, Trudeau wants us to be a leading country when it comes to the environment, which is obviously a great thing, but we have to make sure that we don't necessarily hurt all parts of the country, but they do have their industrial green strategy, and there's lots of articles online about that. There's a lot of talk about AI, ChatGPT, and all that stuff. I thought this was a really interesting article in the fact that Imperial Oil has turned all of their heavy haul trucks to full automation. So there are no more drivers of any of those major trucks. A lot of those drivers have gone into offices now, and they're driving them remotely in that. They talk about the fact that obviously that's going to hurt some jobs, but the biggest thing is that they're looking to increase productivity, and they already are attributing moving to this to $1 per barrel savings. So it's interesting about the fact that, yes, there's a tremendous amount of jobs in the oil and gas industry, but it is changing rapidly. It's a lot more smart jobs, and the simple labor jobs are starting to disappear as they're moving towards automation. And another thing that just ultimately is just to kind of scratch your head a little bit, I thought this was interesting. If your parents don't own a house, there's a high likelihood that you will never own a house. If your parents do own a house, there's a much better possibility that your kids are going to own a house. And so there's just something that I thought was quite interesting because of the fact that obviously there's a huge concern about everywhere in the world, but we're focused on Canada in regards to can the younger generation afford their own home? And obviously there's a tremendous amount of variables into whether or not someone can or cannot afford a home, and this is obviously a big factor. So ultimately, to wrap up, there is optimism that interest rates have peaked. There are still some concerns of a recession looming. The interesting thing about recessions is you never really know you're in one until after you're in one already for a couple of months, because when stats come out. People are still moving to Alberta for jobs and affordability. This still seems to be the place to be, and more people are realizing that, and more people are moving here. Edmonton could be busier in 2024. We've talked all year about how Edmonton follows Calgary. We just don't know when. It's usually 6 to 18 months. Well, Calgary got going in January, so we're just about to move into month 12. So optimism is that optimistically we're talking about things being busier in Edmonton for 2024. We just don't know when. And that was it. Basically, there's several Mogul people in the room tonight. So if you have any questions about where to buy or how to get started on your investment journey, be sure to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.